on, good afternoon. This is so nice. So I've got my coffee. This is very chilled because Wednesday, typically every other Wednesday I go to therapy and I've not been for ages, and I went this morning. It's always quite tough when you've not been for ages. And then I've had my head in the UK tax system with one of my mentorships, which has been a lot, quite taxing. Tax is taxing. And they say tax doesn't have to be taxing, but I find it quite taxing. I feel like I'm 10 years old and I'm in a maths class again. So I've been and done all of that, and now I'm here, and it's really lovely to be here. One of the reasons that I wanted to come on live today was to speak to you about your energy on Substack. I feel like I'm getting a lot of questions about where's the best focus, where shall I put my energy, how much shall I put into writing, how much shall I put into community, how much shall I put into growing. So I just wanted to talk about that sort of stuff. Oh, it's popped up. I'm live on Substack now. Just took a minute. So I wanted to talk about that as we look towards the end of the year. I've also just finished running a Soulful Sales Challenge over on my Challenges Substack. So there's one video that is completely free to watch, and then there are a couple of written posts that you can also read, and a couple of videos behind the paywall as well. So the Soulful Sales Challenge was really all about getting your head into, do you want to run a Black Friday sale or not? Do you want to run a holiday sale? Do you want to put a special offer or put your prices up or anything like that? So all of that content is there. And I know some people have been working through it. So I thought I'll do a live and catch anybody that wants to ask any questions about that stuff as well. But the energetics in terms of where it's good to put your energy on Substack right now, what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling from myself and the clients' dashboards that I have access to is that the people that are going deeper and sitting with the piece for longer and really letting it evolve over time are seeing some really beautiful results and return in terms of more people being able to find that post, more engagement, more likes, all of that gorgeous stuff. So we've sort of moved through the phase of having to publish more often and turn ourselves into journalists. And we've moved into this deeper phase of being able to write and sit with an idea and sculpt it and change it over time. So I quite like that. And I wanted to share that with you. It can't all be about our writing and what we want to do, because Substack is a social network. You know, it is built on reciprocity. It is built on being able to share win other people's wins and connect to other people who are in the network and in the system. And so I've always built from a place of people are invited to come to mine, you know, come around my house, come to the beach, whatever it is, and we'll do a thing here. But I also go around and spend time in other people's communities, spend time reading Substacks as well, spend time, you know, being a person who likes to comment and say something thoughtful and generous in other people's communities as well. And that's based on my tastes, right? So it's based on where I want to spend time. But I wanted to mention that. And I also wanted to mention the piece about being really strategic when it comes to this time of year and any coupons that you might want to put in front of your audience. So I'd love to get into some of that stuff today. If you do have any questions as I'm talking, feel free to type them below. I've got the laptop open now, so I'll be able to see if you do have any questions. And if anybody wants to volunteer to come on the live with me and be mentored around their ideas that they've got to put out before the end of the year, or any coupon ideas they've got, or any sales ideas that they've got, as in like flash sales or how long to run a sale or anything like that, you're so welcome. You just have to volunteer below and I'll pick somebody at random. Probably everyone will be like, no, Claire, we're introverts, we're not coming on a live. But if you want to, the offer is there for some free mentoring on the internet, live on the internet. Okay, so the energetics of where you want to put your time in your Substack publication as we head towards the end of the year. I have a bit of time off in December, and that is purposeful because obviously it feels like when we've set a set of goals and we've done lots of beautiful monthly intentions and we've worked seasonally, by the time we get towards the end of the year, we're all feeling a bit tired. And we're also in that space of like, it would be lovely if people just put something in front of me that I wanted to read. So I love reading all the gift roundups. You know, JP he did a wonderful advent calendar roundup. I love that stuff. I find it really soothing to my nervous system. We don't want to be asking people to have like big intellectual debates necessarily. Like, we want to be there for people. We want to be soothing their nervous systems, helping them feel held. And obviously, you know, it depends who your audience are, but I don't write for an audience that likes clickbait and drama. Not really. I'm writing for an audience that wants to feel spacious and they've got time to be creative. So for me, all of my content in December is about soothing people's nervous systems like it is all year round, but it's also easy to read stuff. It's easy to click, easy to read. I'm not asking anything massive of anyone, and that's all planned in. I've got all of that stuff sorted. Millie's saying that is really interesting that you think becoming more popular to go deeper rather than more frequent content. Yeah, and these are just my observations. So when I read a really well-researched and thought-out article, it is getting a lot of response. I think we do have the attention span on Substack. We need to not forget that on socials, people are trained to scroll, and here people are trained to, and they are trained to want to go deeper. Like that bridge, it is a marked difference, I think. So if I go to Instagram and I want to scroll reels, I'll hold my hands up. I love a jet washing video. I love to watch those power washers. It's so relaxing. But if I come to Substack, I'm not coming for that kind of quick dopamine hit. I'm coming to catch up with my favourite writers, to read something a bit more thoughtful and nuanced, to read something that really touches me as a writer, where I admire the writing, or where I feel really seen, or where I feel really held. My nervous system feels calm. I never click into things that are going to upset me. Like I just haven't got the bandwidth. So knowing what type of reader you are on Substack is really helpful. Knowing what type of reader that you want to attract is also really helpful, especially as we head towards this time. And the reason that I'm talking about it in this context is because we are going to be bombarded. If last year and the year before anything to go by, bearing in mind Substack was way quieter, we're going to be bombarded with offers and get this now, or price rising soon, or 48-hour flash sale, or 24-hour flash sale, or this sale ends tonight. Like there's going to be all of those messages, which makes everything noisier. So I feel like we have a job as curators to know exactly what we want to do in terms of any offers and sales, but also a job to know that we can hold people really well and still keep our strong open rates and strong views as we head towards the end of the year. Mine usually actually go up this time of year. There's more people online, especially around the holidays, so you'll have more eyes. There'll probably be more shares because people feel like they've got more time to share, and then new people should come over as well. So I'm hoping for a bit of an influx in new subscribers. So that said, it's really good if you can just to check in on your welcome email, check in on your about page. If you've got a hero post, check in on that. Those 3 places are the cornerstones of what people can find out about you and what you publish and why. Also in our welcome email, we've got the opportunity to add a gift in there. So if you want to change up the gift, you can change up the gift. I need to check mine and see what's in there. I think it's 2 free classes. Stay Creative on Substack classes at the moment, but I'll have a little check of that, and maybe I'll put the planner in there. So I've got a free planner at the moment for 2026. Well, I've actually made it evergreen. I thought it's going to be more useful for people if it's evergreen, so I've gone that route this year. So I might put that in there. And also, because people are online more, one of the things that I've been working on since October is putting out more offers for people to sign up to for free. So I've got a free class called Audience Alchemy, which is about getting to know your audience avatar and audience development. It's about understanding long form content. So Substack posts, blog posts on your website, podcasts, video podcasts on YouTube, and then understanding how to extract from them and then make that work more evergreen in the world. So it's a totally free class. It's just out there. So I keep reminding people, hey, there's this free class. And every time I put that out in notes, I usually do notes and Instagram on the same day, there'll be a flurry of new people sign up for it. And they're probably brand new people to my world. So that kind of gentle making offers in the lead up to things feeling busier is going to serve you really well. You've still got time. But once it hits the Black Friday week and weekend, it is just going to be really noisy with offers, and people will reach a saturation point. So we've all got budgets in our heads of how much we want to spend on Substack, or maybe there's one that we're waiting to see might offer a Black Friday deal, but there's only going to be so much capacity we've got to consume that type of content. So most of us will just tune it out, after we've made the conscious purchases we want to make and the investments we want to make. If we buy a new toaster or whatever we need to buy from another shop, it'll be like, okay, now we're done. So there's definitely space before then to invite people in, to sit around the fire a bit more, to engage in the work that you really want to make in the world and engage in thoughtful conversation in the comments. Then it's going to go a bit bananas. It'll calm down a bit. Then there'll be all the Advent stuff. So people love to do a 12 days of Christmas. They love to do a full December of Advent, of countdowns. And I should love it. I should love it. But as a mum, it's so stressful because you've got all of the information coming through from school, 2 different schools. I've got 2 kids with all of the different things going on. And then you've got people who want to catch up before Christmas. I've not seen you for a year. Like, why do I have to catch up before Christmas? Can't we just do it in January? It's like, I just find it's like all this madness comes in through the phones, through the portals. So I try to plan for that as much as I can in my business and just be like, okay, like, what do I want? What do I want in this space and time of the year? So I'll be popping to London. I've got a lovely event with Selena in London, which I'm really looking forward to. It'll be so beautiful. That's with some other Substack writers and some clients as well. And it'll be just so beautiful to do. And that's something for me. That's something that's going to charge up my inspiration, and it's going to give me lots of food for thought for my personal writing. So I'm really looking forward to that. So things like that you can really think about in terms of how you want to indulge what you want to be inspired by around this time of year. Some of us have access to all sorts of beautiful shop windows or Christmas fairs or whatever we have. So all of that sort of stuff's gorgeous. But online, it is just going to be noisy and a smorgasbord of different things. So when it comes to your offer, my advice, and we've done this in the Soulful Sales Challenge, it was a 3-day challenge. You can still catch it. You can go over and have a little look if you click Challenges by Claire Venus. So it's not the one attached to this live, it's my other Substack. You can go over and you can read through all of that stuff. And what we focused on is making a decision. So we're going to make a decision on what it is that we want to put out in the world. We're going to know that sales is service to the people that are already really excited to buy our offers, to invest in our offers. And we're going to test our nervous systems through the process of doing that. So when we do that work, we learn more about how that feels in our bodies and how that feels in our systems. We learn more about how our audience respond. And then we're not looking at what everybody else is doing and getting any sort of FOMO thinking I should have done that, because we've made the decision, okay, on Black Friday, this is what we're doing. Or in the countdown to Christmas, this is what we're doing. Or in between Christmas and New Year, this is what we're going to offer our audience. So making the decision is first, and then writing the emails around the decision. Clarity is your friend. One offer. Don't confuse people. Don't ask people to make decisions. As I've described, and as we'll know for ourselves, we're just asked to make far too many decisions in life anyway, but especially around the holidays. So keep it simple, make it a no-brainer decision, make sure that the person feels embodied to make that decision. So what I've learned about my audience, and it's not all of them, if I do something and it has a deadline on it, sometimes people opt in and then change their minds. So they change their minds not because my content isn't brilliant and my community isn't gorgeous, because they couldn't actually afford it. And that makes me so sad. Of course, I'll just comp them. Like if someone genuinely can't afford to be in Sparkle on Substack and wants to grow joyfully and sustainably, they can have a comp. That's no problem. But that is an awkward interaction to have, because it's my messaging of this is ending. And it is, because things have got to have an end, that's made them think I'm going to buy this. And then it's their realization and shame that I have to have a conversation with, because they're telling me I've bought this, but I can't afford it. Please, can you send me a refund? It's fine to send refunds. It's easy enough to do. However, it is time, it is capacity. We are then re-soothing someone's nervous system. And it all goes through my accounts, and it's work for my accountant and bookkeeper, which I pay for. So all in all, be really, really conscious about what you're doing in terms of deadline marketing, because there can just be a bit of fallout. And I give you these extreme examples because I've experienced them, and I think people will be curious. So anyway, oh, you guys are all right. Okay, hang on. Oh, Georgina's saying hi. That's nice. Claire's saying hi. Oh, Georgina's saying sharing my class. That's nice. Oh, okay. So Nurture is saying she would like to go live with me. That is exciting. Shall we do it? Will I try and invite you? Let me see if you're still here. I've babbled on that much when you might not be, but that would be so nice if you are. Okay, I'm just looking for you now. Just check I've got the right. Yeah, not inviting a stranger. Always a possible on a Wednesday. So Nedja, if she's still here, she might come and join me, which will be gorgeous, and we'll have a little chat about it all.
Hi, Claire.
Yay! Oh, look at this. This is so lovely. Hi, love. Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Well, I'm delighted because I find it quite awkward just to chunter on by myself. So I'm just over the moon now. We can just have a lovely mentoring chat. It's far more comfortable for me to go live with someone else, but I make myself do it because people are hanging out and like, yeah, let's have a chat. So I do it. And then it's silence in the comments. And I'm like, hey, shall I just go? Shall I keep chatting? So I love that you're here. How's your day going?
Yeah, no, all's well. I'm a little bit poorly. Just
Oh,
returned from India, and that's why I'm not as sparkly as normal. But it's okay. We're getting there. And don't worry,
yeah.
we loved listening to the solo chat. We were all just concentrating. That's why the comments were silent. We were just listening in awe.
I
It was
think
all
I
very,
do
very
quite a
helpful.
big download, don't I? And I think it maybe takes a few layers of live chats before people start to kind of resonate with, okay, like I'm going to take that piece forward. There's a lot of listening, isn't there? And a lot of learning and leaning in. Yeah.
Yeah, no, no, definitely. There was a lot in that, and I was just there nodding along. So there was nothing to comment. I was just going, yes, yes, and I'm sure everyone
Oh,
else was at home going, yeah, no, I agree with you, Claire. Great, good thoughts.
yeah. And tell us about your Substack because we've actually met in real life through the most random of circumstances, which I adore. We met in London. I'd said to my friend Amy Beeson, who's probably hanging out somewhere, she might not be on, but she'll be around. I've already
Yeah,
WhatsApped with her today. I'd said to Amy, because I'd seen her come into your dance stack classes, I said, do you think there's any chance that we could do a Beyonce themed dance class and I could advertise it as a bit of a meetup? My friend and I were going to see Beyonce in Paris the weekend before. And she said, absolutely, I'll ask. And then we made it happen and we met and we had the most wonderful hour. It was so fun.
yeah, it was so good. And Texas Hold'em was a wonderful routine, and you all just absolutely slayed it. It was so Amy is the reason that I'm on Substack, and
Okay.
that's kind of why we're all here. Um, I am a GP by background, as you know, but just for the folks at home. But I'm a GP by background, not a traditional writer in that sense. But there was a lot kind of things that were going on that I thought were worth kind of writing about. So things that my Substack is titled Doctor, but also so talking about the facets of life that don't involve medicine. And yeah, as you said, I'm a dance teacher on the side. And the main kind of purpose for the Substack was to have the dance tutorials online as a vehicle for people, particularly that were kind of not in the geographical area. Because if you're not based in West London, then the chances of us meeting are very, very slim. But I just thought there was a lot to offer on there on a kind of asynchronous learning platform, that what we're doing every week in studio can be kind of put in a video form and put online in a way that people could access it from their homes. Because during the pandemic, I felt like Zoom was a huge thing. Everybody was using Zoom for doing Zoom tutorials. But for dance, that went downhill with the timing of things. People couldn't make the right time. So doing the pre-recording seemed like a really sensible way to go. So that's kind of where I'm up to. And I'm probably about 6, 8 months into Substack now. So I would
Hmm.
really quite fairly new. So that's
Yeah.
kind of my Substack in a nutshell.
Yeah, and it's such a beautiful offer. I love how holistically you recognize you've got a job as a doctor, but you also want to take care of your physical and mental well-being. And I love your self-expression. I think you'd done a beautiful, stunning photo shoot on Instagram the other week, and I was just like staring at it, just like absolutely in awe because it took me right back to my teenage years and when I used to just fascinate around music videos and have MTV on in the background all the time. And I was just like, there is something really beautiful being kindled by the invite to dance and to dance with peers and colleagues. It could have gone one of two ways. It could have just been we all felt awkward, but you as a teacher really held space for like the humor in it all and us trying to find our feet with it. So it was just so fun. And I think that it's interesting to me because I've had the experience in real life. I'd love to know how you feel it's resonating with any new people that are finding you. Obviously, you're heading it all up and then you've got your videos and stuff like that. Are people kind of, do people get it? Are people like, oh yeah, I get it. I'm gonna
No,
go into, okay.
absolutely not. And it's because it's such a niche offering. So the people
Yeah.
that are subscribing to the online are all people that have known me in real life. So they've come to a class in real life, but they can't make the physical space, and then they join it online. And I had my first subscriber who I didn't know, who said, I'd really love to access your dance tutorials. I was like, oh, wonderful. But I asked the question as, the positive inquiry. I just wanted to know. I said, well, how did you find out about it? And she said, I attended one of your events. So even though I didn't meet her as a one-to-one, she was a one in the crowd and then found it. So without that personal connection, I think it's really difficult to kind of get that message across of like what people can kind of benefit, because you've seen it in real life. So
obviously I just lit up when it was you. I was like, yay, like I love thinking about that memory. It was so perfect. I loved it. Yeah.
Once you've experienced it in real life, and the same with any kind of live event, then you've got the feeling. And when someone goes, oh, I can give this to you online, it's translatable. But if you haven't experienced it, there's a disconnect. They'll read the writing and be happy with the writing and comment on the writing, but the dance stuff is difficult to engage with on an online only platform, I feel.
Yeah, I've got you. And so what we really want to do is deepen that connection between the people that are tripping across you and what you do online, whether that's a tag by Amy because she's tagged you in because she's gone to another class and she's got a sparkly jumpsuit on, whether that's you self-promoting, whether that's somebody else in your community saying, I love this class, like maybe you should come with me, and that's via WhatsApp or wherever else. So at the moment, I'm just looking at your profile. I feel like it feels like the dance isn't coming through as strongly as I would like. So I feel like the profile picture is cool because we've got the information that you're a doctor in the profile picture, and you've also got Dr. Dancing in your profile there, in your handle, which is really savvy. But I don't think we need the picture of the stethoscope on the background there. I think we can make that a really vibrant, fun community dance photograph. And there might be something really clever that you could do around having it like a photo through a photo. So if it's like somebody else's phone filming the class and then you take the photo of that, so there might be something to play around with there that like fuels your creative fire and makes you excited about trying something. Or it could be one of those really striking photos of you that I mentioned over on Instagram, because again, that's going to capture attention. It was so beautiful, and it really like evoked a memory in me just from seeing you. But that could be because I've had that in-person connect. Because we haven't got much space in the bio explainer, I would definitely cut, hi everyone, welcome to Doctor, but also because we've already done that bit. We've already put a lovely photo of you. Whatever community-based high-energy photo that we put on, it already says Dr. Dancing. And we also have the name of the publication underneath, which we can fully read, which is Doctor, but also. So we can cut that line entirely. We can cut, this is a publication about all of that. We can just cut all of that. And then we can start with what life is like outside the medical world, and also a place where we talk about dance and well-being. So I think probably, and we could do some more work on this together, but I think leading with, this is a place where we talk about dance and well-being. Also, I'm a doctor and like, London-based doctor or some things. But the most important thing in this Substack is the but also bit, I think. I think the doctor is the social proof, like, oh, there's a doctor in the world who also has a Substack. But then I think what we want to do is draw them in to the well-being side and all of the other stuff that you want to self-express about, because you don't want to be answering questions about doctory things. That's not what this is it? This is your space for self-expression and really spilling out all your passion around dance as a tool for our well-being and taking care of our well-being. So I'm just having a look a bit further in. Yeah, we can organise it a bit. We can kind of create a couple of little sections or tags that try and kind of put your personal writing in one place and then the videos in another place, so people can see that there's a balance there. That would look really good too. But that's the main thing. And it's the same with every Substack that I look at. So it's not just yours. Usually the essence of the person is missing because the first writing that we did about ourselves was in a CV. And actually on Substack, we want to be like, this is my story or this is my passion first. And then the CV stuff can kind of come out later, further down the about page. If we really have an accolade that we're proud of, like we've done a TED talk or a best-selling author or whatever, I just think it's the human to human connection we want to lead with. And that kindle of curiosity and that kindle of spark in the bio, I think just a couple of little changes and then we could be there.
Amazing. And it's actually, it leads on to a really good point, and it's because I'm a Substack baby, so I don't really understand a lot of the mechanics, but I'm sure I won't be the only one out there. Is there a way to organize? Because what I was doing with my dance post is, rather than just doing a routine, I was trying to then actually be really thematic about the well-being part, that actually, like, this is something to open when you want to feel joyous, or you need to feel confident, or you want to, get over some jealousy, or like however you're
And
feeling.
say that, yeah.
I wanted to try and organize that in a way that people could kind of access it retrospectively and be like, oh, right, today I'm feeling like a 5-minute dance snack. I've got 5 minutes, or today I've got an hour, so I can do this properly. Is there any like
Mm.
good tips on organizing content for when people feel like that?
Yeah, that could be really beautiful. And I would do it as a contents page. So we can create pages on Substack, and it's just like a web page essentially, and it'll add to your navigation bar. So we would turn off leaderboard because it doesn't mean anything to anyone, and we would add contents potentially in there. Or we could even call it dance here or something, something to capture attention. And then you could do it with tags. So if you like the Open When series, if that was then a series. So my Open When series is X, Y, and Z, exactly how you've just explained it. And we can go back and get the transcript of this call. So you can just put that in, and then we would just list them. So it's not important when they were put out. So the date's not an important thing necessarily. It's like the feeling bit. So we would get into the feeling bit, and then we would probably tell them how long it is. Like this one I'm looking at here, Open When You're Feeling Sassy or Jealous. It's 11 minutes. Like, we've all got 11 minutes in a day. What a beautiful thing. So then we might do shorter dance opportunities and then longer dance opportunities underneath, and just sort of see. And then once we've kind of extracted the main bit of organization of where we think people might want to click, we then would respond to, okay, but I wrote this personal article over here and it did really well and people were really resonating. And then we might organize them in a deeper layer as well, because sometimes people, are on the tube and it's not the time for dancing, although it's arguably always the time for dancing, but, they might want to read. So then it invites them back in. So that's how I do it with tags. I think you could do sections. With a section, we can subscribe everyone. So readers don't necessarily need to know that they've been subscribed to a section. We just put them all in, because then we can then write a little bit of blurb and we can have a bit of a logo in a section. And if we ever wanted to put any video or podcast material that sat outside our main publication, it could sit in there. So depending on how you saw this working longer term, as you get a bigger archive, that could be really nice to do as well. Or you could just tag them for now, and you can always go back and reorder through a section if you wanted to later. But yeah, tags are your friend. You can just edit the posts and then add the tag before you republish it. It wouldn't get emailed out to anybody that way around. It's just you doing a little bit of housekeeping. There are Substack VAs that do it for you, so there's always that option as well. It's quite cost effective as well. Like, it's not super expensive to do, but if you think it's one of those jobs that you'll never quite get round to, I think it's great to work with a Substack VA. And I thoroughly recommend Christy Keller. She's Canadian and amazing. She did my A to Z for me at a time where I definitely didn't have capacity. So if it feels like a nice job to sit and do, and you want to kind of play around with the words yourself, then definitely have a go. I think it would also really enhance your publication, because then we could link to that tag, because it gets its own URL, and then we could pop that in your about page, or be sharing that. If Amy, say, shared a photo, you would then say, oh, and there's more classes all collected here when you restack it, so gives people more opportunity to go deeper with you and see that archive building up.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's really helpful. Thank you so much, Claire. There's so much about Substack that I'm still learning and understanding, and I'm sure I'm not the only one in the audience that's learning an awful amount through this. And can I ask a question?
Of course, yeah.
It's a question more in relation to kind of what you were saying before, because I'm now thinking about the, run up to Christmas and what kind of offering to do in the run up to Christmas, as I'm sure a lot of people are. And I completely appreciate what you're saying about adding more stress to people's, lives. And that is the opposite. It's the antithesis of what I'm trying to achieve. But at the same time, I'm very aware that the nights are getting darker sooner and people are in more. So is that an opportunity to give people more access to something that they can do at home when they're more likely to be at home and have potentially more time. So I just wondered kind of what your thoughts are on the balance there.
Yeah, and I think because you're just building it up, there's certain times in the year where it's really beautiful to just give people gifts, and obviously Christmas time is one of those time, the holidays if you're in the US, around Black Friday and Cyber Monday, in between Christmas and New Year, the New Year kind of wellness trends, like they're all coming up in quite a short, condensed period of time. And one of the things I was saying earlier on about being able to give my audience gifts is I genuinely want to give them gifts. And if some of them end up working with me, that's beautiful. If somebody ends up telling 10 people about me, that's also beautiful. But there is that kind of art of generosity in saying, like, I'm a person making things on the internet, here are my things. So for your publication, it could be worth looking at whether you do, okay, like we're giving out so much around this time of year. How about you have a 14-day trial? You can try some of the dances out. Just promise me you'll get to one dance. People just like collapse when it comes to commitment because they've already got so much on their plate. But if you're like, we're going to do this together, we've got 14 days, we've got the 14 days before Christmas, let's do an 11-minute dance together. When are we going to do it? And just try and sort of G everybody up a bit. So that's one idea. And you would just create a 14-day free trial coupon for them. And obviously make it clear in the copy that if they don't cancel, then obviously they'll become a paid subscriber and you would love them to be that, but this is just a gift. So there's a little bit of admin in that. The longer trials work better than the 7-day free trials because 7 days just seem to disappear in people's world. So my 14-day trials and my 30-day trials work really well in terms of people seeing around enough to then understand, okay, this is somewhere that I want to spend time, or I'll move on. Thanks so much for the gift. I got what I came for and I'm going to go. Or I'm not in the market to like listen to joyful growth stuff at the moment. So that's one idea. If you were looking at kind of running more of a side hustle through your Substack and you were up for experimenting with discounts, it's a really good time to do it because people are just open to spending. So people just feel more warm to thinking, oh yeah, actually that's really good. And I wonder if January would be the better push for you because we've allowed ourselves all of the indulgence and all of the busyness. And actually it's like, oh, now I really want to take something on that is part of my well-being. It's part of my holistic routine, but I'll do that as part of a new year kind of plan. We've seen it, haven't we, year after year? And I think being really gentle with that language and not scolding and letting people know that it's coming could be really beautiful to try. But when you're building up your numbers, which I think is where you're at right now, I just looked before, but I think
Just hit 100.
yeah, beautiful. Yeah. So, and this can be a real ripple effect time for people in, I would say, like anywhere under 300 subscribers, there's still that opportunity for ripple effect where we want to give them gifts and we want to give them opportunities. We want to give them chance to get to know us. And there's so many ways to give them that gift, but it feels like this time of year is that time where we can really thank them for being subscribed to us and reconfirm our passions about why we do the work that we do in the world and invite them in a little bit. It could also be a nice time to like open up a more general chat in your comments around well-being at this time of year, because I know you're a big advocate for it. We've had some beautiful chats before about that and the more holistic side of things. And then again, that just gives people a bit more opportunity to get to know you and trust you.
Yes, it's true. And you're right. It's so hard, isn't it, when you're far away from an audience physically, like how do you establish that connection and trust? Exactly. Because
Yeah.
when people trust you or understand you, that's it. It's like something clicks and then you don't have to push so much. It kind of it's kind of the hard work is done, but that is the hard work to do remotely for sure.
Yeah, and I think because you are confident with video, you have more opportunity there. Like I wrote a post yesterday and I don't want to tell anybody to do video if they're not comfortable with it. But if people are comfortable in speaking to camera, it just shortens the timeline of nurture with people. We can build up all sorts of ideas in our brain. You probably know more about this than I do, but in terms of like how we are consuming who is in our pocket, in our phone, and like whether we trust those people, so there can be all sorts of biases and judgments going on. And then as soon as we exchange like in person or see them on a video, it just all alchemizes. Wonderful. on my YouTube channel, there's so many people that thank me for the videos that I put out, but also people that email me and just want to book one-to-ones. And one-to-ones are my most expensive product. I don't advertise them. They're essentially closed. But if someone's like, oh, I just really need, I've watched your videos, I like you, I know what you're about, I need you to help me, I'll quite often say yes and be like, let's look at fitting something in. And that's all from them building up a picture of who I am in the way that I share on YouTube, but it's because it's video.
No, it's true. And people, they just get to know you very, very quickly, don't they? And,
Yeah.
I think we both are quite good at sharing quite openly about our kind of personal self, and that does help. That's been really helpful, Claire. Thank you.
You're so welcome. And I'm so glad that you're here. I think giving yourself that permission slip to lean into the writing side of what you want to do, a little bit of the organising and the curating side if it feels good, whilst also holding your ideal person, because your ideal person, there's 100 of them already there, but you've also met loads of us. Like, we're all your ideal reader because we gather around, we do a class, we're inspired, we want more of it, but we also want more of you. Like, we want to get to know you more. We want to know more of your story, what brought you into dance, like how you've kept that commitment while you're still doing the GP work and like doing all the doctor work. Like, you're a bit of a Wonder Woman. We want to know about that, so it's like giving us some more of that would be really nice.
No, absolutely. And you're right though, because you always say this to me, but to me that never feels like exceptional. It just feels very normal because it's just how I've carved that pie chart. But you're right, it's what a lot of people just think, well, how does it all happen in a day? The answer is little sleep, right? That's always the answer.
And I think Will with you as well, because you're very determined to express this part of yourself, and I feel like that's a really unique way to keep hold of your spirit in everything, because it could be easy to just like, and I'm doing the slouch thing, it's like, oh, another client's like, right, hey, like, I'll get them more coffee, I better get a biscuit as well, it'd be so easy to be in that space, but you are getting energy from being in different spaces and taking care of your well-being, and it's very inspiring. We need more of that, because someone was on a live the other day and they were just saying like about, capitalism being like a poison to us, and it is that thing of, if we work too hard, we need more of the things to soothe. And then when we spend money on the things that soothe, it fuels the whole capitalism sort of circuit. And I feel like with anything to do with creativity and well-being, we get to quiet the noise of all of that and be soothed anyway. So we can get quite deep on it, can't we? I mean, me and you will. But I think there's a beautiful opportunity there for you to write yourself a beautiful long timeline, maybe give yourself 6 to 12 months and be like, okay, what are the markers in the sand? What do I want to shift and change? Obviously, there's some quick changes we could do together. But then there's that kind of organization bit, and then there's the layers of going deeper and the reaching a wider audience as well. That is all coming. It definitely is on its way. It's just shortening that timeline of nurture and understanding what somebody over in another country needs to be able to be like, this is the place I've been looking for. I'm so excited to read Nedge's work. I'm so excited to like catch up on dance classes. Maybe one day I'll go to London. And like, these are things that I've had happen just this year. An American client of mine came and met me in my local gardens at Annick Garden. And she was like, I can't believe this exists. You live next to a castle. I'm like, I live next to a castle. This is Annick Garden. But also you lived in my phone and now you're here with your kids. Like, it was just so wonderful. And I think we forget that. And we're kind of in this space of like, oh, well, it's only, however many subscribers. But no, like there are all of these beautiful human connections all playing out on a timeline that we can't possibly understand. So that's what I get excited about when people are really inviting us into something that makes us feel more alive in ourselves. And I love your work, I do. So I'm excited for you.
Thanks, Claire. Thank you. And I really, really appreciate it. I've taken it all in and I'll just digest and start working on it.
Yeah, see how long that timeline feels like when you connect to it. Well, thanks for coming on live. It was very brave and it was very beautiful to see you in real time.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
Take care, Nedge. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Oh, that was so nice. I feel a bit lonely now. Okay, we're good. We'll get back to it, guys. Okay, so I am answering questions today about where best to spend energy in this part of the year. So the last chapter of the year, essentially, on Substack. I've mentioned my Soulful Sales Challenge that is on the Challenges Substack. So that's one of my Substacks, not Sparkle, but another one. that you can access if you are looking at doing any coupon sales or any price rises. There's some really lovely support resources there for you. But if you do want to ask any questions while we're here, then you're so welcome. Okay, a few questions. It's annoying because when I click off here, I can't see them, but I'm going to just scroll a little bit. I always accidentally send myself some hearts when I scroll, so that's good. Just to say, when you're on a live with anybody and the hearts come in, and I've noticed this when I interview people, everybody gets a bit like, oh, it's a little bit like in Peter Pan, you know, when they get the magic dust and they can fly. I feel it's a bit like that when you send hearts. So if you're there and you're able to press the heart button and you're on live, like just do it because it's so nice and special. And it's like, oh, people are really there. Okay, so here we go. So Georgina is saying, what do you think is best, Claire? Start here and a ways to work with me page, or a contents page with the above two linked in the contents page means less navigation bar tabs, but more scrolling in a single page. My preference, if it was a simplistic publication, which Creatively Conscious, my paid newsletter, is the best example of a simplistic publication, is a contents page. So I have welcome/contents. So there can be no doubt that it is welcome for new people, but it's also contents for anybody that wants to go into the other resources. And then I organize that a couple of times a year and kind of go, okay, like, where do I want to send people? Is this all still relevant? Do they need to know about an arts development project that I did in 2017? You know, all of that stuff, because the internet moves quickly and sometimes you read things and you're like, oh, that's actually not as relevant. So when it's a simplistic publication, I think it's better to have one navigation bar click and then we click down and we drill down further, because people are having different reading experiences. When I put multiple places for people to click in an article, usually the top one has the most clicks. So the top hyperlinked clickable link has the most clicks, but the others also have even distribution throughout them as well, which shows me that like there's an invitation and people take it when it's high up, but also that people also would come back and then click other things as well. It's dead interesting. But I think when you give people too many choices, and there's a lot of this that I've learned when it comes to offers as well, if people are on an offers page and you've given them 3 different offers, you're already asking them to do a lot of work to try and decide and connect to which one's for them. Whereas if you give them 2, it's either this one or this one. If you give them 3, they might read all 3 and go for the middle one. There's all sorts of bias psychology and behaviors and stuff with Substack, because our job is to take people deeper and build week on week with our publishing. I think it's good to just keep the navigation bar tidy, make the hero post a real invite, a video if we can, if we're comfortable with it, and then also have our about page that backs up the whole system of where people click. And that's always worked really well for me and clients as well. Yeah. And then Jennifer is saying, my 1-year Substack anniversary, yay, January the 4th. I was thinking of running a 3-day gratitude sale in November and another for the anniversary. Have a class in 10 minutes. If you see this before, then what do you think of doing both? Sale with the same amount off? Yeah, so what I feel about that, Jennifer, is that you will get to test it out with your audience in November. And then you'll get to retest it, and the people that missed it in November will catch it in January, plus the new people if they do feel ready. And the readiness is the most important piece of this, because sometimes, you know, people will say, oh, I ran a 20% off sale, but nobody bought anything. And they just weren't ready to buy. They hadn't built up the know, like, and trust factor with you. They hadn't felt like they had enough information. They hadn't felt like they had their questions asked. And they were massively distracted on the internet, because we all are. You know, it's so easy to click off things, isn't it? You know, when you see those Instagram reels and they're like, wait for it. And you're like, well, I might, or I might go. We've got free choice. So I sometimes want to, like, you know, maybe it's like PDA, but I'm just like, no, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to wait for it. And also sometimes I think some people have put that and then it's really disappointing at the end. And you're like, you just want to keep me watching. It's a trick. Anyway, this isn't that. This is building all the layers of trust and inviting people in to feel really cozy and comfortable with what you offer. One of the things I say to clients who don't like to sell a lot is, You can always do one big sale a year and know that if that sale feels like the right price at the right time for the right people, lots of people are going to come in then, and then you've got your paid subscription sorted for the year, and there'll be other people that trickle in throughout the year. So that's what I do on my paid newsletter, because I would not have the capacity to think about how I was going to offer things throughout the year. I need to be really strategic about the goal for that publication and the goal for my own creative practice with that one. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Use it as an opportunity to get your nervous system used to it, and then you can repeat it in January. You might have different results, but at least your nervous system will be used to it and your audience will have heard about it before. I would also tell people, not in every email, but I would say it somewhere in the emails, I only do this twice a year. Once is now, and then the next time will be in January. I think we're far better to be really transparent with our audience than to run a flash sale at, like, say 20%, and then I see people 3 weeks later running another one at 40%, and I'm like, it's too close together. The audience just loses trust, and there'll always be the people that haven't seen it and miss it. But I think because I always lead with integrity, and I know I've been on the receiving end of things like that before, where people have said, oh, I've seen this and now I've seen this, and what do you think of this? It's like, well, if you've seen it, how many other people have seen it? So I don't do it in that way. Like, I'll always be like, this is when a sale's come in, this is how long you've got. Sometimes you can extend a sale, so you'll see this. Usually that is premeditated. So if someone's like, oh, it's gone so well, I'll do it for another day. They were always going to do that. So again, like sales psychology, it's so complicated because someone will see that and be like, oh, I missed out, but no, look, here's my opportunity. Whereas actually they were probably happy enough to miss out. So I don't know. I don't need to deconstruct it all. We know what type of buyers we are, and we can learn a lot from our own buyer behaviors, but we also need to know how our audience is feeling around buying and make them feel really secure about what the Substack offer is and how that all works. I think that really, really helps. I've mentioned it before, but one of my mentors, Denise Duffield-Thomas, has a podcast that's really beautiful, and also a quiz called Sacred Money Archetypes that you can do that tells you a lot about the different buyer behaviors of archetypes. So how people kind of are with money, and a lot of it starts in childhood and starts around the childhood stories that we were told about money, but some of it you'll find that people are a bit YOLO, and they weren't planning on buying something and then they buy something. Other people are more of accumulator type and they wait for the deal, and then they're like, oh great, this was my opportunity to buy it, and they feel really sort of soothed and satisfied that they got it at a discount. Discounts don't work with everyone. It's not going to be your whole audience. And I've definitely done more this year to kind of test how I feel about all of that. It's very difficult with a membership model because membership models are really high touch. So if I have too many members, then my members could have a negative experience because I haven't got the space and time to witness them in the group calls that we have. That said, if I get the sweet spot right, they'll have lots of lovely colleagues to work with. So there's all of these different things to consider. So hopefully. Okay, so Jennifer's saying, my thinking is for people who are open to, want to get to know, and to get in before the end of year, there's November, and they need some more time to think about it after holidays, then there's early January. Yeah, exactly what I was saying. So I think that's really cool that you've thought about that and you know that you want to do that. 2 short sales, would you publicize both dates ahead of time? Yeah, so yes, but sometimes around the holidays it's better to do a countdown than give them the dates. When people are a bit like, dates become a bit abstract, people don't really know what day of the week it is, so it's almost better to lead with like 3 days to go until my sale, or it's these dates, there's 3 days to go, or in the header, like, this is the last day, or I'm closing, doors are closing on this. That can just have people feeling in that more immediate space with it. Thank you, Georgina. Yeah, Georgina's given me given some more context there to why I say this stuff. I think, oh, Christy, we've just been talking about you. You're literally on the live now. That's so nice. Christy is a wonderful VA that can organise things. There she is. So Georgina's saying, thank you. My hero post is a video, welcome, and I'll work towards the contents page. Yeah, and we don't have to go overboard with treating this like a job. This is all things that we can build up to and that just really help people to feel held and secure. My biggest experiment at the moment is just not losing people. I just feel like I was able to send multiple emails a week and now I'm not. So I am dancing with that. I think it's so interesting where people are at, and it's fine, but ultimately I don't want to have a grey dashboard. Like, that doesn't feel great. So I want to get the balance right. And I also have a lot to teach and a lot to say. So yeah. Okay, so Jennifer's going, beautiful. Oh, have a great day, everyone. That's so nice. Yes. So in all of this space of coupons, flash sales, Black Fridays, Cyber Mondays, you might start to feel a certain type of way. There might be some very valid human emotions that come out around all of this. There might be some FOMO, like I should have discounted higher. I should have done more. I should have done more emails. There might be aggravation, like this person's emailed too much. I'm going to unsubscribe. It's all valid. It's all happening, and it doesn't really mean much. Like, you are intrinsically valuable. Your work is intrinsically beautiful and valuable anyway. This is just a time of year where we get to test and experiment and put things in front of people to see what happens, to see how it feels in our nervous system and to see what happens. The trends in terms of what I've seen on Substack is some of the bigger Substackers are discounting more than they ever have. So you can do with that what you want to do with that. But people have a Substack budget. So if you are still in the space of wanting to charge $70 or $100 a year for your Substack, and somebody else has discounted theirs to like $20 a year, there's a budget, the consideration there, isn't there? So, and this works across memberships and paid newsletters because we only have so much capacity. So in terms of the churn that I've seen this year, I've had much higher churn than I've ever had. But I'm not putting my prices down. Like, I think it is so valuable what people get access to for £20 a month or $25 a month. There's 2.5 years worth of articles and tutorials and replay calls in the archive, and I'm so proud of all of that stuff. And it's also really precious to me. Like, those are people's creative ideas and thoughts and like unique sharings and circle work. It's gorgeous. So £20 for me is my absolute minimum. That said, like, maybe, curiosity kills the cat, and I'm like, oh, what if I just throw caution to the wind and just did a 75% off sale? What would happen? But I've really got to question, do I want to do the work? And is that fair on the people that are paying £20 a month? So it's like all of those sorts of considerations come in. And I'm not revealing what I'm actually doing. I'm only telling my Diamond members because I've got in trouble with that before, where I'm really open and honest about it. And then someone just like lifts exactly what I'm doing and another Substack educator does it. And I just want to just be able to be like, this is from my creative heart and it's my creative idea and this is the way I want to do it and these are the reasons why. So yeah, I'm not talking about it on a live, but I will talk to my diamonds about it so that they understand why after 3 years I've decided to do what I've decided to do. And it's not been an easy decision. Like, in the past I've been like, great, I'm going to do this. Oh, and then I'm going to try this. And it's felt very experimental and fun. This time there's more of a balance to it. There's more of a like, okay, like, I've tried all the different things. This is what I want to do. And these are the reasons why. And this is how it fits my bigger business ecosystem. I've got some flames there off Georgina. I've sent myself some hearts again. I can't help. Honestly, every time I scroll to try and read questions, I just give myself loads of hearts. Alicia says, can you talk more about choosing to send less emails? Yes, I can. Yes, I can. So I had 2 beautiful conversations with people who have unsubscribed from my work, but were previous subscribers. Both of them have been on my podcast, and this is how we had the conversation, because usually when someone books in to do a podcast with me, they're a paid subscriber, or I advertise it one other place. So I advertise it in Lucy Werner's membership as well, because she's got lots of lovely people that I like to chat to. So I knew, okay, it's either through Lucy's or they've been a paid subscriber, and I recognize both of their names. And I'm like, okay, they've probably been a member in the past, but I can't hold 400 names. It's really difficult for me unless I see people a lot. It's hard. So when I went to Sparkle on Substack and searched their email address, they weren't subscribed. And I was like, oh, I've got a podcast with them now, but that's like a bit awkward. It's not awkward, it's fine. Like people unsubscribe. But I also wanted to have a conversation to understand the positioning piece, because if they got what they needed from my work and then they sort of graduated Sparkle and moved on, that's great. Like that feels really good. My job's done. But if they felt like, oh no, like I just don't resonate with Claire's teaching anymore, that's sort of awkward for me to podcast with them and hold space for them and put the work out in the world. So it's all of that sort of stuff where it's like, oh God, this is getting really deep now. But, you know, I have a business and the business is supported by people subscribing to it. If people don't subscribe, if I get mass unsubscribes, then the business isn't as robust as it needs to be. I need people to be subscribed to share my work, even if it doesn't resonate for them. I need people to be subscribed so that they pay if they want to pay, so they know that that's an option. And so in these conversations, I understood that it was more about that those people had had what they needed and they had enough now to build their Substack the way that they wanted to. There was also some more nuanced stuff that was around about teaching style. So my teaching style is very creative practice led. It's very, how do we find the joy? How do we find the spark? How do we find the sparkle? Some people really resonate with being taught, like, here's a presentation, here's 3 bullet points, this is what we're going to do, write your notes. So that isn't my teaching style, but people sometimes need to be taught like that. And I totally respect that. And there's some brilliant people teaching like that. And there's some brilliant people that are more into the data. There's some brilliant people that are more into the analytics. There's some brilliant people that have different sets of experiences. So we had a really beautiful and mature conversation about all of that. Anyway, cut a long story short, Claire, that's what my father-in-law used to say. So in all of that, in my system, I was able to take something that felt quite abstract, as in people's unsubscribing feels quite abstract because you're like, okay, like I don't understand this anymore. And bring it into the 3D, bring it into the tangible. Okay, like I have a business. I also have a Substack membership. These people had everything they needed from the Substack membership. They didn't feel like they needed to be there anymore. That's probably because I over-deliver as well, you know, and I do know that, and I do love to over-deliver. So what are you going to do? So in that part of the world, that was really helpful, because then it was also paralleled with the fact that my posts were getting less views, and this is a Substack thing. So the open rates were good still, but the views were down. So I was like, okay, like I need to look at this data as well and understand what's happening here within the Substack network, because ordinarily, what I used to say to people was when they sent a post out and emailed it, Substack would then boost the views, and it wasn't worth just putting a post out because the views would be so small and tiny. Even if you shared it to notes a few times, you wouldn't get anywhere near as many views on top of the email views that Substack gave you. But in my experience at the moment, because of what I said at the top, the pieces need to be so well thought out, robust, really holding the audience, really resonating with the audience because of the different choices that there are. People haven't got the same attention spans. People's nervous systems are not as calm because of the news feed, because of notes, because of FOMO, because of comparison and all the things. And so the way that I'm holding people through my ecosystem on Substack has completely changed. So last week, I put a podcast out and I didn't email it. I've never, ever done that before. Never. But I was like, do you know what? I trust that my ecosystem will take that podcast to where it needs to go without sending another email, which is going to drive unsubscribes. And I know that putting a podcast out doesn't drive super high views within the Substack network. It's done it once, actually. It did do it once with Beth Kempton's last year, but usually it doesn't. So I'm not losing anything by posting that podcast. It's had 800 downloads. It's had something like 67 views. So with that piece of content, because I've got that mixed media publication and I look at all of the stats all the time, for me, it's like, okay, so if we're going into the cadence of one article a week, how does that article feed all of the other articles that are coming up? How am I holding everybody through the narrative of the story that I want to tell? So the article that went out yesterday was about audio and video, and it was a hard one to write because I don't want to give that to everybody and say, this is what we're all doing now, because that's not what I believe. But I know that there are people in my audience, because I know them really well, that are still at the very beginning stages of feeling confident with voice, and how to use the tools that Substack give us. And I know that they might be on like a 1 or 2 year journey with me within the membership. And there's a membership call coming up next week around audio and video on Substack, where I'll do some teaching. We'll do some practical. It's going to be really fun, actually. I'm dead excited about it. We'll do some practical, and then I'll do the Q&A. And so that article needed to go out to everybody, because I'm warming people up on a longer timeline to be able to either come into the membership and learn that stuff, or recognize, because I linked to lots of posts that I've written about in the past, here are all of the other posts. I've been talking about this a long time. So it's like that social proof piece. So I would also do threads on a Saturday, and Georgina asked about this recently, and I stopped doing them because the engagement was low and the unsubscribes were high. And I was like, as much as I would love to do a Saturday chat thread, I know that members are served by that in our subscriber chat, and Substack isn't pushing those out anymore. And so it's just me going, it's me again. And then people going, that's one time too many, Claire. I need to unsubscribe now. So it's like, it's a really nuanced answer. And as you can tell, I'm still running it through my nervous system, because my belief was that with Substack, we were there to email people. And in emailing people, we would get the views, we would get the people to come on over, people would hit the subscribe button. But that just hasn't been my experience since April. So I've had to change up the strategy of what I'm doing and why, to hold the people that are there and to find new ways to invite new people in and over. So yeah, long answer, Alicia, but I hope that helps if you're still here. If not, I will message you and tell you that I spoke to that question. Yeah, and we can't always know. So part of the curiosity of writing into a Substack is that the process of writing unearths new things, and the process of chatting to people in the comments unearths new ideas. So we can't always know, okay, this is the post that's going to feed a part 2 post that's going to feed a membership call or another paid post further down the line. Like, that's very specific to the way that I see my Substack, and that is only with Sparkle on Substack. With Creatively Conscious, I haven't changed the way that I'm doing things. I'm changing it in 2026. So I think that there's always that space that we can gift ourselves to know ultimately it will all balance out, and we are allowed to. It's our space as much as it is our community space as well. Like, we can test that within our own systems and see how things feel. Amanda Hinton wrote a really good article about it recently, and she's actually published more. And there's something in the data of what she's looked at that has actually fueled the way that her readers receive our work. And it was a fascinating article. I need to speak to her live because it's a little bit above my head. I'll be honest. I'm a bit like, I don't quite get it. I sort of get it, but I don't get it enough. I'd have to speak to her. But it's a really good article if you guys want to go and read it. Yeah, so Alicia's saying that, thank you, that makes sense. Things are evolving and require adjustments. Creative experimentation seems like the best path forward. Yeah, and I think just being really kind to yourself, that this has been, in the scheme of, if we've been on Substack a longer time, we were seeing joyful, sustainable growth. That was the pattern. And I'm going up because mine just went up and up and up and up across both publications. So remember, I had 2 publications to test this with. I also had a pop-up podcast. I also had a pop-up summit. I've also got my challenges Substack. Like, I test this stuff, right? And so for me, it was just up and up and up. Now what I see is an article does really well, which did used to happen within the Substack ecosystem, but it was like almost a little bit like, not buying a lottery ticket, maybe finding £10 on the floor. Like, it was like, oh, I found £10 on the floor. That's amazing. So it wasn't always something that you could plan for when a post went viral. Whereas now, because we've got to know our audiences more, Substack are saying, you can take that audience with you on a journey, and you will then know that that's building up over time, and they're going to go deeper on that article. So for me, because I speak to an audience of beginners, creative expressionists that have been here a while, and then business owners who use Substack, it would be really hard for me to hit on an article that went viral, I think, because I know my audience really well. If I wrote for the business owners, the beginners would be overwhelmed. If I wrote for the creative expressionists, people would be like, but I need to understand how to monetize. So there's all of these different things that I've got to consider to balance all of the publishing that I do. And that's why I love the podcast, because you can get the nuance in. And that's why you've seen me do more lives as well. I mean, I'm always popping up on this live now. And I don't tend to email it out. I tend to just save it, and then it goes through to people's podcast apps as well. So the way that I know that that is resonating is looking at the downloads, which are always really high for my live replays. Then I get to use the assets as well. So the bits of video and stuff that goes on YouTube Shorts, and that circles people back into my email inbox and coming up to Sparkle and all that sort of stuff. So it's worth it for that kind of top of funnel, those new people. But also I get to have lovely chats with everyone. So I do really appreciate it. So energetically, if you want to read the post that I put out today on challenges, it's about making the most of the time before Black Friday. If you are thinking about doing coupons, and I float some more ideas in that. So that's over on my challenges Substack. Over on Sparkle on Substack, I'm talking more about the nuance of how we can be strategic around audio and video, but also how we can lean into that as something that is more of a comfort. So a year ago, I wouldn't have been doing lives like this, but I also wouldn't have had a video on my hero post. If you're comfortable with video, it's such a light lift to help people to get to know you more. So it's things like that we can be thinking about, and we can go into more of that in the members call next week if you would like to come. Okay, guys. Well, I've been on for a little while there, so I'll head off, but it's been beautiful. Thanks so much, Sinead, for coming on and for me and allowing me to have a look through her Substack and do some live mentoring. That was really fun. I'd like to do more of that. I want to do some lives around the drip funnel campaign, so look out for that. I really want to hold you guys, because I know it's a big block around how to do that well and what to do with those stuff. Those emails within the drip funnels. So we're going to do some of that together. I'm just being mindful of my energy as we get into December, because I like to take a few weeks off in December. And I've got a lovely business course starting tomorrow. So the business of your Substack is starting tomorrow. So if there are any business owners on this live, I should have said this way earlier, but I got inflow, then the course really positions how to be business savvy around the money side of Substack being low ticket, and then everything else working from that. So a bit of a flywheel, if you understand that term. So it's a bit of a growth engine for you, your voice, your work, your world, your work, and then where everything else goes off platform. So some of the hardest work that I've had to do this year has been around not value stacking my membership in the same way that I was, because the archive's built up and it's so healthy and beautiful now. And I've given people a beginner's course when they join the membership, which is worth over £200, and they just get that when they join the membership now. So some of the hardest work has been looking at, okay, this is the journey people have been on in the membership. Where else would they like to go with me as a business owner? And how do I deliver that outside of Substack? Now, that won't be the right fit for everybody, but for a lot of people, there are various different reasons why Substack can be low ticket and can fuel your other work, but also can be a really healthy side hustle that we don't put pressure on. And it's those things that I talk about in the business course. I also talk more about the standard operating procedures, so the flow of how to do things so that we don't burn out. I talk about the money side, and we really get to grips with what it is that you want to do long term. I don't know whether you guys feel like this, but sometimes I feel terrified that I run a subscription business. Just like, oh, subscription models are forever, right? Like, what does forever even mean? You know, they're also one of the hardest sales that we'll make in lots of ways. They give people constant reminders about the fact that they haven't done the thing that they were going to do, because every time you email, they're like, oh, I haven't done the thing. And so actually, longer term, 3 years in now, longer term, as beautiful and brilliant as it's been, I feel like I know the inside out of subscription models and buyer behavior because of my own buyers' behaviors, but because of all of the dashboards that I've seen. And unless you are a really, really high profile best-selling author, or you have tens of thousands of email subscribers, it can't be, being really careful because I don't want to put you guys off, but it can't be a long-term business solution for you to plug everything into Substack. It just can't. It doesn't work longer term because you've constantly got to be chasing new leads. There's subscription fatigue, the subscription burnout, the subscriber churn. Whereas when you partner Substack with a healthy business ecosystem that works while you're asleep and makes sense to you on the energetic side of how much energy you put in and how that all feeds the bigger business ecosystem, it all feels a bit better. So I'm wincing a bit because I know people are always a bit like, oh, I just want to write my Substack. I know you do. Me too. But I also have to feed my family. We're also in a cost of living crisis. The UK government are bonkers around taxes at the moment. There's all sorts of different things going on. So if we are going to give Substack 10% of our income, which obviously they do a beautiful job for us, we love the platform, we have to understand what the cutoff is for us in our businesses in terms of when do we stop being able to afford to give them 10%? When is it making us feel like we're missing out on the stuff that we would want to sell? Bearing in mind it started as a low ticket subscription platform, it was like $7.70 for a year, and it's all sorts of different things now. But there's a real realization when people get into the thousands of paid subscribers, or even before that, I haven't got thousands of paid subscribers, where you're like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And I also have to pay a lot of tax because of the lot of money. So all of that stuff's in the business course. I just really want to hold people because I want you guys to do this work for the long term. I want to do this work for the long term. I'm in doing all the experiments, and I work with some really savvy business owners who are just amazing. And when we've been able to set their Substacks up so it flows through to their bigger business ecosystems, we've had huge breakthroughs, and I want that for you as well. So I'll leave it there. But if you do want to join us, we kick off tomorrow. We've got a call tomorrow. You get instant access to the Business of Your Substack, which is my course for business owners who use Substack, who want to understand Substack is low ticket, and then the other ways that they build their business ecosystem aside from Substack and how they all feed each other. There's a lot around audience nurture and stuff in there as well. There's a lot around how we show up online in there as well. It's a really robust course. I'm really proud of it. And it's only been available to mastermind students up until now. But yeah, it's available, and we're doing 2 live masterclasses, and we've got co-working as well. And so I'm here for you as you start to work through, okay, like this is where I've got things to, where do I want to go next? What does the plan look like? So Alicia's saying, biggest lesson I've learned from Claire and running my own membership. It was defeating at first, but now I'm seeing how the opportunity for creative growth. Yeah. So I've got a beautiful friend and colleague, Sarah Rad. She'll not be on here, but you can find her on Substack. And when I told Sarah about Substack, I was like, Sarah, this is going to be so good. I know you've always wanted to run a membership. Like, this is the platform for it. You're going to love it. Come to my class. Like, this was back in 2023 or something. And Sarah and I talk a lot. And all the way through that first year, Sarah was enjoying it, but also frustrated because the things that she was putting inside of the membership had a bigger value than what she was able to charge for them because of the pricing points and dynamics of Substack. Now, Sarah does the subscription model. She's a brilliant coach and she does journaling and all that gorgeous stuff. But she also gives people the opportunity to buy things from our website and to buy the classes as a separate entity. And it does really well for her. So I'm really pleased for her. And part of that is because she took her eye off becoming a Substack bestseller. She's not driven by ego. She's driven by what makes sense and being able to take Fridays off every week and being able to take care of our well-being and being able to do really good work. So she's done she did a co-class with me in the membership. If you want to have a little look, we did it on scarcity mindset together. She's fab. But I love that for her because when we first started doing stuff together, working together, she's coached me in the past. This is how we got to know each other. When we first started working together, I was obviously on this like huge growth trajectory on Substack. A bestseller was really important to me. It was important for social proof, but it was also important because it was the space holding for the community that I envisaged. I wanted a big, lively community. But for Sarah, it wasn't that, because she wants a cozy community. She also wants a business model that washes its face and feels good. And so the Substack is just a part of that. And it's a very small part of that. And so that's the right fit for Sarah. And that's just one example. And so I talk about that because I feel like these offer light bulb opportunities for where we want to go. So this year, I would have just wanted, if you asked me at the start of the year, everything was going like bananas on Substack, I would have just wanted to be further up that leaderboard, because being further up the leaderboard gave me more opportunities, more eyes on my work, all of that gorgeous stuff. And then when everything shifted and the algorithm changed over summer, and I turned on the unsubscribe emails again to really understand what's happening here, I also turned on the follower emails as well at the same time to see what was going on. I was like, I just feel like on the surface, I'm a swan, and actually we know what's going on underneath. Like, it was bonkers. I was just like, this is insane. Why would I be pushing? Why would I be spending money on ads? Why would I be doing everything I've been doing for less reward to get somewhere up a leaderboard that doesn't make any sense to me? Like, I've proved everything I need to prove, thanks to therapy. But you know what I mean? It's like we all can shift and change the structure of how we are sitting with the goals that we want for ourselves. And we have to be savvy about the numbers. We have to be savvy about the opportunities. I adore Substack. I adore that I've built a business here and a membership here. But I also had a business before it. It didn't do as well as my business does now, but I had a business before. So there's always lessons to kind of take us back, take us out of ego and bring us into that space of like, what do we really want for the longer term? What's going to work for the longer term? And I love doing that work with business owners. I love helping with those realizations. I love helping people feel properly paid and properly recompensed. But I also love it when people are like, do you know what, Claire? This has been a really good run, but I don't think I want to do paid anymore. I think I just want to write, and I just want to write for everybody, and I want to get the attention of long form content, and I want to talk to people in that space. Like, I'm so happy for those people too. And so that's beautiful, isn't it? Anyway, that's probably enough for me. I thought I should just do a little plug for the business of your Substack, because I do love running that course live, and it's all there ready to download. And we've got the live masterclasses. First one's tomorrow, next one's next Monday late afternoon, and then we've got the co-working as well. So I've set up a little Telegram group for the participants so they can have that peer-to-peer space to support each other and help each other out, because it has been a funny old 6 months, especially for people like Alicia, who is a bestseller, and things have been feeling a bit strange and a bit difficult. And that isn't any reflection on how brilliant she is and how brilliant her work is at all. Like, not even a tiny bit, So I think just reassuring people and then getting them to build a really robust business plan that features Substack and makes the most of Substack, but doesn't pour everything into Substack hoping that more value will bring more people, because it just doesn't work like that. It maybe never did. Maybe it never did. We maybe just are seeing that all play out in real time, especially those of us that have been here longer. You would think, wouldn't you? Okay, like after a certain amount of time, that archive is so valuable, but so's an online course that you build, and you can keep selling an online course to new people at a much higher price point than you can a monthly Substack sub. Anyway, okay, guys. Well, it's been so beautiful to spend some time with you. Thank you for those of you that were able to join us live. If you're listening on replay, I'm here for you. Reach out, anything you need. You've got my email address. My Substacks. I've explained them all 10 times over. Have a beautiful evening, everyone. Take care. Bye.